this man currently in the White House, and why does he look so different from the man 10 years ago is one question among many that a growing number of people are asking as a catalyst to their journey in finding out what's really going on behind the scenes. Now, more and more people believe that something is off about the government and what they're telling us, and that there's some kind of acting going on in politics and in the news today because the ridiculousness is so exaggerated that it cannot be real, and it's allowing people an entry point or a trigger point to question and go deeper into this quote unquote realm of conspiracy. And so in this video, I'm going to talk about the next question you should really be asking if you've already realized that Biden and this guy is not the real guy from 10 years ago, which is this a white hat operation or is this a black hat operation? And so in this video, I'm going to outline the reasoning behind why you may need to use an actor in this current Biden administration, as well as the journey that people are on in terms of the Biden realization. And so in this video that I just recently posted, I talked about why people believe that Trump is the commander in chief. And before you brush things off as, oh, that's loony conspiracy and all this stuff, consider this. They've constantly, Trump and many other quote unquote white hats and good guys, they've been saying that the 2020 election was stolen. If it truly was stolen, then this is an act of war by whoever did this, the foreign adversaries, domestic terrorists, whatever you want to call it. If this truly was an act of stealing the election and giving it to somebody else, then Trump had the right and the obligation to protect the continuity of the United States. And whatever he did, writing PEDs, writing executive orders, installing the military and the devolution, the idea of devolving the government to military generals temporarily, or suspending the Constitution, suspending the election to another cycle as they're cleaning up, they're rounding up people, giving military tribunals, whatever it is, whatever this whole operation is, then logically speaking, Trump had the obligation to do something, and it would not seem far-fetched given the narrative that's already public and very out there, which is that the 2020 election was stolen. And if we were attacked, if you think COVID was a biological weapon, then you have reason to believe that something else is going on behind the scenes, which is different from what the public optics are of what they're saying. Oh yeah, Biden, he's the president, and all these things are going fine and dandy. And so in this video, I'm going to talk about what military generals, high-level people, would have probably have done when they were in the war room thinking about what they need to do next. Because it's not that simple. It's not as shocking as, well, why would they put on a mask in the White House and just trick the whole United States? There's a lower priority of optics, of trying to save face and to make it look good for the public versus something as big as rooting out the evil that exists in the world. And I've talked about this in this awakening journey that people are on. If you don't realize and wake up to the fact that there may be certain conspiracies that are factual, these Luciferian satanic people that are doing evil, wicked things, then you will never cross the line and believe the fact that, okay, maybe the White House is some kind of an acting job so that we can string along society and let them just believe what they want to believe while we take care of the dirty work behind the scenes, minimizing collateral damage along the way. And so I'm going to outline certain things. The global plan to take down evil, if you really think about it, comes down to two plans. And I'm pretty sure that all these military generals and these strategists, they got in a room, they made PowerPoint slides, and they really thought this through. And I'm going to present it to you as if I was a consultant for this whole plan to take down evil. There's really only two plans at the high level, which is you have an immediate takedown of all the treasonous, evil people, and you have a full, instant public transparency of everything. You tell them what's going on, you do the deed, you go take the top special force guys, you arrest everybody, then you do a military tribunal. Then if they're charged with high treason, you execute them by firing squad, or you hang them. Whatever that looks like, I'll tell you. Okay, well, let me explain plan B and then we'll go into the details. Plan B is that you have a covert takedown of all these guys, the people that have done the evil, assuming that you've caught them in the act, right? And with a controlled, timed public perception. So what that means is that you just allow it to come out as necessary. You have sealed indictments. You have all these things that are happening, and at the right time, so that it doesn't affect the secrecy, the covertness of how you try to round up everybody else, especially the mid-level guys, the lower tier guys. If you take out one guy, you arrest Obama, right? And then everybody else is going to panic below them. They're going to do things that are not what you want them to do, which is probably commit more crimes so that you can catch them in the act and all these different things. So that's why Plan B, it's a covert takedown, and you control everything that's going on. You replace them with actors, you do these ridiculous things, make them say certain things, and do whatever it is that you had to do. And you allow this theater to be stretched to such a degree that your outcome is completely controlled. And so what are the outcomes for Plan A? The first is that you're going to have obvious chaos, looting, riots, people are going to jump to conclusions. If you arrest Hillary Clinton, you execute her, you're going to have people that, because they don't know what's going on, it's such a shock factor to them, they're going to jump for Hillary. Even if you tell them, hey, no, this guy committed crimes, this person did this and that, they committed treason, don't you believe us? No one's going to believe you. And in fact, it's going to have the justification for the black hats, the deep state, if you want to call it, to have reasons for them to counterattack, like for like. They're going to take that. They're going to use it against you. If you're going to kill people, we're going to kill people. And you're going to have mass civil war and a lot of deaths, a lot of negative repercussions, and it's not going to look good for society. What does Plan B entail? The outcomes will have minimal collateral damage because you are controlling the flow of information, of damage, of just everything, right? The public perception. And you're going to allow the population to awaken more slowly. That's why people say drip, drip, flood. You're going to give them little bit by little bit so they can digest it, they can wrestle with it, and then they can draw their own conclusion, and they can be on the side of good because they are able to dissect, to disseminate, and to really look at this from a critical thinking perspective. And you don't just tell them, you show them. That's why people say you don't just tell them, but you show them. So the black hats, they're not going to provide justification for counterattacks, like immediate sort of, oh, we're gonna let's kill them, let's bomb them, we'll have some kind of crazy attack. Because the white hats, they didn't do that from the beginning. So why would the black hats do that? If they do that, then it's going to galvanize the white hats more, and it's going to allow people to come to the side of the good guys even more. And you're seeing that happening already with Trump. People are on the side of Trump. You have a lot of, left-leaning Democrats or whatever you want to call it. They've now publicly said, I support Trump. And this is at the grassroots level, right? And so what does that mean in terms of the justification for having a fake Biden? Because really we're trying to answer this question of why would you, for whatever reason, if you want to arrest Biden early, charge him for his crimes, or you have him in detention, or maybe he just died or he got executed, whatever it is, why would you want Biden to have, to be in office, right? And there's really only two ways you can go about this. You either allow their Biden to take office, maybe the real Biden or whatever it is, or even if it is a Biden that's fake and they have control over them, why would this Biden be left to chance for these guys to do whatever they want in office? Option two is that Biden is in complete control of the white hats. That would allow people to have complete control over what happens. So let me rephrase this. Biden, for whatever reason, dies or goes away or something happens. He got captured. People, whether it's the good guys or the bad guys, they panic. Or they, not even panic, but they make a decision to say, okay, we need to put an actor up. The main question you have to ask yourself, which I'm trying to explore in this video, is who controls this fake Biden? And why would he be up there in the White House? To do the bidding of the good guys or to do the bidding of the bad guys? Or is it a little bit of both? What's really going on behind the scenes? This is the question you ask. And so here, if you leave it up to the black hats and you leave it to chance, then the white hats, the pros here is that the white hats would not be held sort of responsible for evil. On the other hand, if Biden is in complete control of the white hats, from the white hats, then you have complete control over the office. The cons are that if Biden is left to the bad guys, there's uncontrollable outcomes. Evil may prevail with unvetted power. On the other hand, if Biden is in complete control, then you will partially be responsible for evil. So if you weigh all of these things, and there's many more, what you would rather want is you would rather want complete control, but yet you have them acting in such a degree, right? You have open borders, you have all these ridiculous things. Recently, you had the Christmas, debacle where this LGBTQ, this drag queen type of charade was happening. And it's doing enough evil, which is really bad, by the way. It's really bad. But you're doing enough evil to shock people awake to the degree that, okay, something is wrong here. But it's not destroying the country completely. And what I mean by that is nuclear attacks, complete chaos in deaths, all of these things, and wars, many wars that are happening, but rather that whatever war or whatever military operation is happening, it's masked by the idea that it's being done for other purposes. And all of this is very complicated, but you're basically doing things in secret, which look like war, right? Israel, Palestine. Apparently there's underground tunnels that they're trying to evacuate and try to clean out. The Russia-Ukraine stuff, it looks bad, but really Russia is going in there and freeing them of the biological weapons and all of this stuff, the money laundering and the child trafficking. It looks bad, but they're doing it as a cover for good works in some sense. And of course, again, all of this is controversial in a sense, and I don't want to go there, but rather that there is an optics play that's going on here is what I'm trying to say. And so these are some of the justifications. And let me move on to the Biden realization. So in this situation, right, if you have come to the conclusion that you look at these two people and you actually realize it doesn't matter if you're right-leaning, left-leaning, doesn't matter. If you have some brain cells to look at faces and recognize that this man from 10 years ago, remember, he's already 60, 70, right? And then he's 70, 80 now. If you look at this man and you realize that, yes, indeed, something is off. It is different, right? Anybody that looks at a 5-year-old to a 10-year-old to a teenager to a young adult, you can easily see, oh, that looks like you, or that looks like that person. Oh, I could see that being a childhood version of you. And other people would say, no, that's not you, or that's not that person. That sort of discernment is applied here when you look at these two faces. And if you can admit that these are different people, then you have one of two conclusions or one of two inferences. Either you can say that this man has had facelift surgery. Yes, maybe I can admit, okay, he's different, and he looks different, but he's had some kind of surgery. You could probably at least admit that. Or the fact that this person is actually fake and it's a body double. And with the technology that we have with regards to, Hollywood style makeup, silicone masks, and just all this stuff. Again, this is not far-fetched technology. We're not talking about time travel. We're not talking about teleportation technology. We're talking about Hollywood style masks, makeup artists, silicone masks, and they look real. And you see it all the time. The movie Mission Impossible comes to mind. Ethan Hunt taking off his mask. And then recently Salt, right, with Angelina Jolie. Many movies have a completely different person behind the mask of somebody else. So it's not unreasonable to think that you can have somebody look like Biden, right? And especially with AI and everything these days. And it's just somebody else behind it. This is not far-fetched, right? You always have body doubles. And you have people that are very important. They have these duplicates. And they use these body doubles for security purposes and other things. So it's not unreasonable to conclude that this is a fake person, right? And so if you're at least that far, then the next question you should be asking is, what is the conclusion to my inference? The first is, if you believe that there's some kind of facelift surgery or something going on, there has to be some kind of leak or some journalist, some person say, like, even if it was not a HIPAA violation is one thing, but somebody would have said, yeah, because it's such a burning question. Yeah, I was a nurse, or I was this, or whatever it was. I hacked it, or whatever it was. Nothing is coming out of Cleveland Clinic, Mayo Clinic, Massachusetts General Hospital, Johns Hopkins Hospital, wherever this could have been done. There's no record of any of these things. There's no leaks. There's nobody talking about the possible facelift surgery. Why are people not asking this fundamental question of why he looks so different? Because there is no record of this. This wasn't facelift surgery, but rather it's some kind of black hat or white hat operation. So if you've come this far into drawing this conclusion, then you would look at it and ask these critical thinking questions. It could be black hat, it could be white hat. But this is where I want to explore this next level, because a lot of us agree this is not the same guy. Something's wrong, something's off. And as I said before, this is a catalyst into looking into what is really possibly this whole Q operation, this whole military, psyops operation, fifth generational warfare, whatever you want to call it. Something, as I've said before, this is a tip of the iceberg into something else, and you have to really research to understand what this is. So let's look at this and explore this idea. And again, this is the awaken stage. I've said this in the last video. Take a look at it if you want. I also have the Biden video looking into why it looks so different and just exploring this. I'll link both of those below, but take a look at those videos. But this is really targeting audience number 2, where this is the next critical thinking question you should be asking yourself. Expand your thinking, step 3. And if it's either one of these two things, then let's look at some rational reasoning behind it, right? The trigger for why this could be a black hat operation is that Biden died. Let's say he died randomly, heart attack or whatever it was, maybe 5 years ago, 7 years ago, whatever it is. And they needed him. They still needed him to run for office, to do other things. They didn't want to come out and overtly tell people that he passed away, if he died, for example. Then, if they really needed him, for example, if it was just even during the election period, then the guys panicked. They panicked and they had to have a replacement. The black hats panicked and they said, okay, we need to have somebody else up here that can replace him and act in his place, and so that we can have our agenda be completed. And this goes back to Ukraine or Burisma and just all these things. And again, I'm not going to get into the details. But for the sake of the continuity of money laundering, or just all of the stuff that's happening, even right now with Hunter Biden, they needed continuity. So they said, we need to have this guy replaced. We can't go out there and say, he died, and let's have a funeral for him. In order to keep up the charade, if it was a black hat operation, they had to replace him. And so so let me go down to the trigger for the white hat. If it was a white hat operation, why would they need to have done this? Well, it's because Biden was detained or he was executed, and there was a need for continuity of society because of sealed indictments, because of the ongoing efforts for the global takedown, whatever it is. So they had an actor replace him, and no one's going to question that. Or it's going to sound weird if the black hats come out and say, oh, that's a fake Biden, please. But rather, they're playing along to what they had desired, which was to win the election. So they placed Biden in there, the white hats did, and they made him look and act as if he was part of the black hats, but really, it's cornered the black hats so much that they would look stupid. They would look stupid if they came out and said, oh, the white hats detained Biden and executed him, and they replaced him for this fake actor. Haha, like, can you believe us? My name is Hillary Clinton, and I need to tell you this is what's happening. No, they're going to go along with it. And in the unfortunate situation that they have already been caught, they have no choice but to not admit this and just go along with it and try to salvage whatever they can until they make a mistake. So this is what's happening if it is a white hat operation. Now let's look at just the fundamental idea of, if you want to replace somebody, if you are a black hat, you need to replace somebody like for like, not not like this off like guy and you say, oops, we messed up and let's just go along with it. If you're really going to do this well and you're a black hat and you want to make people believe it, then you have to replace that face for the other face. Like for like is what I mean here. Otherwise, you're going to get people to ask questions, more questions than have answers for. If it was a white hat operation, then what you would want to do is make it intentionally different, right? Slightly different, enough so that you ask questions. It's a clue for you to realize, oh, maybe there's something else going on. If the whole white hat operation is about waking people up, then you would intentionally make certain things slightly different. The same goes with the Q drops, the deltas, the hidden messages, the air cues, the misspellings, all of these different things, right? These memes, Dan Scavino, his posts, Trump's posts, everything would intentionally, again, as I said in the last video, it would either target the audience too in a great mass awakening, or it would give you enough hope and enough fuel to allow you to go as an audience 3 member, knowing that something else is going on and you're just giving me hints, affirmations, as I realize and as I get encouraged by everything that you guys are doing, meaning the military, and I can just go along with it. So if it's a white hat operation, you would give enough that it's off, but you would still kind of run with it so that the black hats, the media, and these guys would just have to unfortunately go along with it. So what's happening is that I believe, and there's many more clues like this, that the white hats are in complete control of Biden, right? Executive orders that Trump signed have been extended. Some of them very critical to the election stuff and to the military stuff. It's still ongoing, right? And he's signed this. At the same time, big ticket issues that are angering Americans and society as in general, like this drag queen type stuff, the LGBTQT stuff, this open border stuff, all of these things for which, yes, it's damaging. The economics, it's damaging. But it's not that. It's not stuff like war and nuclear attacks and all this stuff that would really be bad if the real Biden was in office. So I believe that as we think about what's really going on, these are some of the things that you have to ask yourself. And this is the journey that people are on. Because to those that never thought about this before, and this sort of truth journey people are on, this is the Biden realization that I want to sort of paint so that it leads you down the path of asking more questions. Because Biden being fake and asking this question is one catalyst, one insertion point, one way among many other ways that people are entering into this realm of, okay, let me find out for myself. Let me do some research so that I can start asking these questions of what are the Q posts really saying? What are these hidden messages? What's really going on? Is there really some military operation? Let me check the flight logs. A lot of people track these military flight logs. Like what's really going on? Let me clue in on these things so that I can draw my own conclusion and move from audience number 2 to audience number 3. And so I'm saying all this. I want to shorten this video, guys. More is to come. But I say all this because there is a growing movement of truth seekers. We call them Anons, researchers. They want to find out what's really going on, and we want justice for the evil that's happening. This is the shock factor that is part of this grand plan from the White Hats to wake people up and move them from being in this, zombie hypnotic state to looking at the world and saying there really is a God. There really is good versus evil. There really is things that Satan is doing, and we cannot be ignorant of Satan's devices. Knowledge, right? Now, the Bible says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. People that are in these positions of power, they're encouraging others. Not to sound like some conspiracy, like bunker, guys that are just stupid and MAGA, ultra, whatever, right-leaning, that stuff. Not that. But rather, and again, this is a narrative war. People are mocking the other side. But rather so that you can be more in a state of better discernment, you can make better choices, and you're not being told what to do. Because later on, as I've said before, the Antichrist spirit is going to come upon people. It's already here, right? It's already roaming the earth, as the Bible says. But it's going to deceive people so much that you're going to do certain things, like inject things, eat things, go left, go right, whatever they tell you to do, unless you snap out of it, you wake up and you realize, okay, there is some kind of a white hat operation. There is something else that is theatrical in nature that's happening right now that I need to wake up to. Unless you wake up to that point, to that degree, you're still going to be asleep. You're still going to be in a state of stasis, of hypnotic, zombie-like state. And until you get there, it's not going to bode well for you as you develop your relationship with Christ, as you develop your discernment of the times that we live in. So this is why it's important to not brush off these things as some wacky, loony conspiracy, but explore this idea among many other topics so that you can draw the conclusion yourself. Again, this is not a spoon-fed thing. This is you waking up to the realization of who God is, but how the world is working in this current season we are living in right now. So more to come, guys. Love you guys. The other thing I want to say is, if you can support me, I have some links below. This is my full-time thing right now, doing content creation as well as developing the business that I'm in right now, which is 1-2 Life, among many other things. And I need funding to help catalyze what the next steps are. And the link is down below in my GoFundMe page. I started this several weeks ago. Many of you guys have helped, supported. I would like to reach my target goal as soon as possible. Love you guys. More to come. If you also want to support me by buying something on my store, chrisyoonstore.com, all of the links are below. I also have the other 2 links to the other videos. If you have certain topics, certain questions we can explore together, let me know. I'm going to do some more of this because this is a critical stage for people to wake up. I've had a lot of support in my last video. It's great, but more is to come. Love you guys. Talk to you guys very soon.